Hola,
Hola,
comadres.
comadre.
Oh my gosh, you guys. You guys don't understand the mental, like, how much of my brain power it took to have that intro, you guys. God.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have a lot of technical difficulties right
Yeah.
before we start.
Yeah.
Luckily, it was much less than the time before this, so we're
Yeah.
we're good. We're getting the
Yeah.
swing of things.
We're getting the swing of things.
Yeah.
Literally, we pray that our technology will work. The
Hmm.
mic, the camera, the freaking keyboard, like everything. We're just like, man, like just please, universe, line up, let us record. Okay. All right, Jenny. What are we doing today?
Well, we have a pretty big episode ahead of us. We're gonna go deep into our psyches and have a little educational cognitive distortion conversation, which we talked a little bit about on our first episode. So we're going into a deep dive on this episode. But before we start on that, we have some disclaimers for you because we're humans. And the process of editing our first episode, it really shined a light on a lot of things that I didn't
Technology?
realize. Well, I mean, more so like, well, that too. Technology for sure, but I feel like I was just so critical of myself because when you're editing, you just hear yourself over and over and over and over again. And you're like, wow, that's something that I need to work on. I am someone who one of my pet peeves is people interrupting me, and I found out that I interrupt a lot. So if you were listening to the first episode, which in our current timelines, Val and I are recording this on September 28th, and you were also, banging your head against the wall because you're like, Jenny, just let Val talk. I was there with you. So we're working on that. And then,
The other
yeah.
thing is this software that we use is that any time that you make a sound, it starts thinking that you're going to talk. So then it shifts kind of like the attention to you. So I like to be an active speaker, be like, mm-hmm, yeah, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But every time I do that, then it starts recording me thinking I'm gonna talk, and then it like quiets Jenny. So then I'll just go mute and I'll just listen. But it looks like I'm mad at Jenny. Like there was a few edits, and it just looks like I'm just mad. Like I'm just like it's just so bad. The
I'm over
RBF is
here bearing my soul and telling her the most deep personal secrets, and Val's just like, you know what that reminds me of? Have you seen those videos? It's like a trend on TikTok. And it's like Lana Del Rey, and it's like whenever you remember when you were born to die, and she'll be like laughing in an interview, and then they ask her a question, so her face gets serious, so that she can like listen to them ask the question. So she'll be like, ha 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 ha, and then when her
terrible.
face goes flat, it's like the beginning of Born to Die with the violins. It's like doodle.
Yeah, yeah.
That's like we should make an edit with you.
We should. Low key, I was like, darn, if I was a hater, I'd totally troll Val. Like, I totally just like crop this picture and just any time that there's a serious moment, just like insert. Like, it was just the RBF was just so bad. But it looks like I'm upset. It looks like I'm mad. And then I was looking at him like, damn, I look like my brother. Jenny knows
Yeah.
exactly what I'm.
Well, I learned something new. Val has like a famous like historical grandfather, and
Oh,
she showed me
yeah.
pictures of him, and I was like, "Oh, you got your eyebrows from him." Like the angry, like yeah, like he was
Yes,
meant to
the
conquer.
eyebrows. Dude, guys, I am so sorry. We're gonna sidetrack real quick. So sometimes I'll be talking to my husband, and guys, I'm mixed, by the way. I'm mixed with like Aztec,
Well,
like native Mexico Aztec,
technically,
and
we
that
all
mix.
are.
Yeah,
Anyone who's
yeah,
Mexican, I mean,
we're all
maybe
mixed.
there might be some who are just pure native, but most
Yeah,
Mexicans, yeah. Anyway, sorry. That's me
yeah.
interrupting again. My
So
bad.
no, 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 you're good. You're good. But yeah, all of like my ancestors just really wanted to conquer. So like the Spanish, they wanted, I mean, they conquered, but then the Aztec, they also conquered other native tribes. So like they did conquer. The Aztecs did have slaves. Just not Aztecs, just other tribes. That's terrible. But and then the French, I have a French grandfather. And then Italians. So yeah, like there's times where I'm like, we should just conquer something, and then my husband's like, is that like what ancestors coming through you? Like what ancestors? That's
Oh my
terrible.
gosh. Dude, I don't know if you're ever down to do like a 23andMe or something, but we should just do an episode where we go through our our history.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I've mentioned in previous episodes that I'm half white. But when I looked at my 23andMe, I was like, oh, she's 84% white. I only have like 13% native in me. So, yeah, that'd be
That's
fun. But
funny.
okay, are you ready?
Okay. I'm ready. Let's do
All
this.
right. Okay, so actually, one more thing before we get started. I don't know if we've actually ever talked about what the word comadre means. I know we mentioned it a little bit on your podcast, Deep Naked Thoughts, which y'all should go follow that. So, if you are somebody who doesn't know what that word means, we're gonna break it down for you and kind of like the reason for the name behind this podcast. So, comadre is a slang term. I don't know about other Latin cultures. I'm sure it is used in other Latin cultures, but for sure in Mexican culture. The way that it's kind of been described to me is like, for example, say Val was the godmother to my child. She would then become my comadre. Or if you're a guy, he would be a compadre. Or like sometimes you'll hear compa instead of compadre. That's like the shortened version of it. And so as time has gone on, it's kind of evolved into its own word. And so it's kind of just more used as like my really good friend. So that's what that word means. And then obviously the word conscious just refers to the fact that we're having conscious conversations. We're having conversations that are talking about deeper topics like psychology and culture and common experiences that we had as we grew up together. So we never really talked about that. And again, we might have in a previous episode, but between the both of us editing, it's
Yeah.
just all lost in the sauce. So yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually do have like comadres. No, my parents have comadres, but I have godmothers. So they're my godmothers,
Mm-hmm.
but they're like my parents' comadres. So then that, when I thought of you saying that, I was like, we're your comadres. Like we were handpicked by
Mm.
God Himself
Yeah.
to bless you with this knowledge. It's like, dang, Val, like, what is
Yeah.
it, God
Does that
complex much?
mean like where they're padrinos?
I don't know, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Because
but
that's.
also.
Oh, sorry.
Like
No.
padrinos and parties, they usually they take up a lot of the financial like costs. Like who pays for this? It's like, oh, the padrinos. So it's like I can be your comadre, but don't ask me to buy anything. But don't ask me
Yeah.
to buy anything.
Yeah, because
Just kidding.
padrino is like godparent,
Parent,
or
yeah.
padrina would be godmother, and then you shorten that to Nino and Nina. Like that's what I
Nina.
called my
Yeah.
godparents is Nino and Nina.
Yeah. Yeah. But then for the
Yeah,
parents, they're their compadres or comadres.
right. So like my mom, she's comadres with my Nina. Yeah. But again, it's kind of evolved over time. So like it kind of just
Yeah.
refers to just close friend too as well. So yeah, okay. Anyways, all right, let's get into it. So, like I said, on the first episode, we touched a little bit on cognitive distortions, which, if you don't know what that means, basically it's a way for your brain to kind of take a shortcut to explain or rationalize what's going on in the world around you. And that is how our brains have evolved over time. We do that as a survival mechanism. But sometimes that works against us. And especially those of us who are overthinkers, those of us who may have anxiety, we tend to take these shortcuts in a way that work against us. And that's where the term cognitive distortions has come into play. So today we're going to talk about, I believe it's, let me look at my little list here. I want to say 14 of them that are really common. That you might have in your brain from time to time. And we're going to also give you ways that you can kind of rewire that messaging in your brain so that every time that same thought process comes up, you can question it and be like, okay, does this have enough evidence to support it? Like, am I just overthinking here? Am I jumping to conclusions? That kind of a thing. So yeah, anything you want to add before we get into that? I feel like I didn't really explain it that well, but
No, I think it's kind of like you said, like the cognitive distortions are like your brain's shortcut. It's like instead of trying to analyze and think and build a case or evidence, like, oh, is this actually right? It's just like it just feeds you that immediate information and then you choose what you do with it. But Yeah, I mean, your thoughts can lie to you your whole time. Like, what's that
Hmm.
quote? It's like, don't believe every thought you say, every thought you have,
Yeah.
kind of.
Well, and I feel like in my personal experience, usually when I start to have cognitive distortions, I tend to spiral. I'll just like go into this loop where I just keep going, going and going, and I'm just like I have to break myself out of it. Having this list and being able to re-message what my normal thoughts are has really helped me over time. And all of this is referring back to cognitive behavioral therapy. So if you want to learn more about it, you can definitely go look it up and find some more information in regards to this. You know, Val and I, we have degrees in psychology. I have my BA and Val has her master's, but we're also not licensed therapists.
Yes.
This is for
Yes.
entertainment and educational purposes. If you are somebody who needs help and you need more resources, please go to the correct channels for that. But hopefully, this conversation gives you some curiosity. It makes you feel a little bit more inspired to take control of that. So, yeah, so let's get into it. Okay, so our first cognitive distortion, that is all or nothing or black and white thinking. So a common one would be if I'm not perfect, then that just must mean I'm a failure. And I've definitely had that thought process in the past before where I'm just like, okay, well, the world's against me. Like, it's just not working out. A Another way that you can reframe this thought if you have something similar to this would be I don't have to be perfect to make progress. I can celebrate my effort and my growth. And so just reminding yourself it's progress over perfection. Like you, whatever you're working at in life, whether that be your career, whether that be your mental health, whether that be your relationships, you're never going to change and do a 180 overnight. So just reminding yourself that those baby steps are super important and allowing yourself to recognize that effort and that progress. Val,
Yeah.
do you want to read the Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just thinking about even just like all or nothing thinking or like perfectionism. But there was this thing, and I saw this on Facebook, and it's like this is what faces would look like if they were perfectly symmetrical. And then it shows like a really beautiful face, and it's like perfectly symmetrical on the other side. But if it's perfect, it actually looks a little creepy versus it being having like really nice angles and really nice structure, but having like slight differences. And it's the slight differences, it's the imperfections that make the face beautiful. It's that beauty mark or that like I don't know, that like grin that's like a little like maybe like not crooked but a little like mischievous.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the imperfections that make the actual beauty. And so kind of that was the way I kind of healed that was like it doesn't have to be perfect. Like it can be messy and like it can be like a very creative thing. I don't know. Okay, I'm ready
Right.
for the next one.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think one of my favorite quotes is stars can't shine without darkness. So if life was completely perfect, that would be so freaking boring, you know? And same thing with ourselves. Like, don't beat yourself up so much if you're not exactly where you want to be in whatever area of life you're thinking about right now. Reminding yourself that it just because you did fail or just because you did make that mistake, it doesn't have to go all the way to the complete other end of the spectrum and just be like, oh, okay, well then that's it. I'm just giving up because, that's just, it's not going to help you get anywhere. I don't know if you want to read the next one, if we want to take turns or.
Yeah, I'll read the next one. So it's overgeneralization, distortion. I messed up this one thing, so I'll always fail. Okay, that's a bit extreme. So one way to reframe them would be one setback doesn't define me. I can learn from this and do better next. So I feel like my some of my family members use this one tactic for like teen pregnancy. It's like you just don't want to screw up the rest of your life. And it's just like, dude, like first of all, like I don't see kids as a screw up. Yes, there's like a better time to, like things could always be better. But that's crazy. It's just like you don't want to screw up the rest of your life. It's like God, you make it sound like having kids was the worst thing that ever happened. Like, my bad. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and in reality, obviously, it would be a huge pivot, and it would be something that, like if you were to be in that situation, you would really have to figure out, okay, what are my next moves? How am I going to provide? How am I going to move forward with my relationship? I'm still just barely learning how relationships work in the world. Is it possible that we could even make it work? Sorry, there's a fly in here. So it's not negating that there's the negative parts of it, but it's taking more of a neutral approach and saying, okay, just because this one thing is happening doesn't mean that your whole life is completely over.
Life. Yeah.
Which, I mean, I kind of feel like it piggybacks off of the last one of that black or white thinking. So overgeneralization can be very similar to that, where you're taking one piece of information and applying it to the whole, and that's not necessarily how life works. There's
Yeah.
nuance, and there's little bits of complications, or there's exceptions to the rule, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other ways that this has like applied to me or have an example, but kind of like if you don't go to college right after high school, it's harder for you to go back and then you'll never accomplish your goals and then like you won't get a good education and you'll get a bad job and then you just like spiral into like and then like you won't be able to pay your bills and then you'll be poor and then it's like you won't be able to afford health care and then you'll die. It's like, "Oh my
Yeah, and then
God."
you'll be on the streets, and you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
all of that just because I decided not to go to college? Like, that's
0 to
crazy.
100, Jenny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, and I think the point is here too is like that messaging that we receive growing up. Sometimes it can be inherited in our thought processes in here. And so you may not have realized how deeply rooted those messages have gotten into your head until you start to dissect them and be like, okay, well, why am I feeling that way? You know?
Yeah.
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 So, yeah. All right. So our next one is okay, focusing only on the negative. And again, I feel like a lot of these are kind of tying into black and white thinking. They're just different little subcategories of that, of how that can happen. But this one, an example would be they gave me one piece of criticism, so then that must mean the whole project is terrible. So if somebody were to criticize you in that scenario, where again, say you're doing a project and somebody gave you a little critique and you're like, dang, well, the whole thing, I might as well just throw it away. I'm going to give up on that dream because, like, I'm not good at this. It's just focusing on that one negative piece of feedback. So, a way that you can reframe this is reminding yourself, first of all, the criticism is here for a reason. I'm supposed to be getting critiqued on this work so that I can get better. So, that information is supposed to help me get better. But there was also positive feedback. So I'm going to listen to that to continue motivating me. And then I'm just going to work on the negative feedback that they did give me. So again, that's just kind of one example there.
Which one are we on? We're on number 3, mental filter, focusing on only the negative.
Yeah, and then yours
Okay.
is the next.
Yeah. I think for that one too, I've also have learned a lot about feedback and how to give it. Because feedback should be about like the project or the thing, not the person. So if it's just like separating the two, is this a, what is it, feedback about me or is this feedback about my work? Because I can separate the two. And then if it's about the work, it's like, okay, like, is there room for improvement? And usually that helps me kind of like separate myself from like the thing that I'm doing. I don't know if that helps anyone, but yeah, that.
If you're ever in a situation where somebody's giving you feedback, not everybody knows how to give feedback. So reminding yourself that the way somebody gives feedback is not always about you. It might not be the best way, it might not be the most professional thing, or if you're in a family dynamic, it might not be the most helpful, or it can be very, what's the word I'm looking for? Just nasty. You know, like some people have a hard time knowing how to speak to other people in a loving way and being like, listen, you did this thing and I didn't really like it or whatever. And some people just don't have that capability, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's because there's something wrong with you. It's just they don't know how to talk to other people in that loving way, especially in our culture. You know, our culture has a tendency to gravitate towards anger. And when we get frustrated, our natural instinct is to just start pushing that anger out and be like, why did you do this? And why did you do that? So reminding yourself of who the messenger is, why they're saying it, and remembering that the message is very emotionally charged. And if it's emotionally charged, you might not need to listen to that right now. So just trying your best not to personalize that.
Yeah, I like that. Try not to like personalize that. That's a yeah.
Or like take it to heart, I guess would be a better way.
All right, number four, discontinuing the positive. So the distortion would be they were just being nice. It doesn't really count. So I feel like this one comes when like people that are close to you give you a compliment, like, oh, well, they love me, they have to say that, or like, oh, well, fill in the blank, like they just want to make me feel good. So the reframe would be their compliment was genuine. I can accept kindness and recognize my own strengths. I'm trying to think of that. If that's ever like applied, I'm trying to think of like a specific scenario. I don't know if one comes
Yeah.
to mind.
Actually, I have one. So when you said that, it kind of reminded me of something that I do. I don't do it as often anymore, but I still do it from time to time where my mom will be like, Jenny, like, and honestly, like, I love that my mom is so, like, cariñoso with me. She's always been that way. She, like, don't get me wrong. Me and my mom, we've gone through some things, like, especially in my teenage years, we had a very tumultuous relationship. But all through that, she's always been a very loving and affectionate person with me. And sometimes she'll just be having a conversation with me and she'll be like, Jenny, you're just so beautiful, or like you're just so intelligent, or like I just love you, or I'm so proud of you. And sometimes my automatic reaction is to be like, you have to say that because you're my mom. And she's like, no, really, like obviously I am your mom and I'm gonna say it because I'm your mom, but like I really mean it. And so just reminding yourself to accept those compliments from time to time. I know it's programmed in our brains to like be humble as Hispanics and Latinos, and that's a really good trait to have, but I think sometimes it can go a little bit too far on the other end, especially if you were raised in Catholicism. Like humility is such a big thing, and I think it's okay to accept those compliments and be like, you know what, thank you, like I feel beautiful today. Or like, thank you, I worked really hard on my
Yeah.
degree and I feel intelligent. And thank you for recognizing that. Like it doesn't mean you're conceited or a selfish person. It just means that you're proud of yourself.
Yeah, I agree. I think especially, I don't know where that comes from. I don't know if it's like low self-worth or like where that comes from, but just brushing off like compliments where it's just like, oh, I really like that purse. And I'd be like, oh, this whole thing. It's like, oh, thanks. It's genuine leather. I got it in Mexico. It means a lot to me. Thanks. But yeah, like taking the compliment versus just like, just me, no, like this whole thing or like that pair of shoes or it's like just kind of like accepting it and be like, that person didn't have to say anything. That person could have just like not given you any thought or any attention or anything. So the fact that they did, that they said something, just like receiving it, just like being like, thanks. That's really kind of you. Even if you don't agree with it, just be like, thanks. That's really kind of you. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Number five.
All right. Jumping to conclusions, y'all. I'm not going to lie. I'm still working on this one. So, the example that we have here is they didn't text me back. They must be mad at me. A good reframe for this particular scenario would be, okay, there could be many reasons why they haven't responded. They could be busy. They could have had an emergency happen on their side. Even if they are mad at me, that's not on me to read into. That's on them to communicate to me. And I need to wait for that to present itself before I get to that, level. So I don't know if you have any specific examples, but again, this is something that I'm still working on. So I could probably think of a bunch.
Yes and no. So yes, because ABA, applied behavior analysis, is very driven by data. And so whenever we write session notes, we always write objective versus subjective. So subjective is like I think, I feel, versus objective being like I know or this happened, like based on facts. So like we always go after like the facts. So if a kid is maybe quiet that day, it's I wouldn't say like I think he's mad at me. It's like client was very quiet today. Client said, I don't want to play today. Client, like things like that. And if the client says, and I'm mad at you, then it's like, well, then they strictly said they're mad at me. So I always say, like, follow the behaviors, like, actions speak louder than words. So I've been on the receiving end where it's like, oh, well, you didn't text me back. And it's like, well, it's been a really long day. I worked 2 shifts today. It's just I didn't have the time. And if I did, you weren't that sucks. You weren't a priority. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I just didn't get to your message in time. But like actually saying it versus like thinking like this person must be mad at me, or actually like checking like, hey, are we okay? I won't say like, hey, are you mad at me? But just saying like, hey, are we okay? And just kind of
Yeah.
leading with like wanting to get data versus just assuming. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because that could go in the opposite direction, right? Like somebody might say, well, if I think they're mad at me, I'm going to try and confirm that. And then they text you and they're like, "Are you mad at me?" That could go in a bad direction because now you're putting the jumping to conclusions and taking it from out of your head and putting it out there in the universe, and it's like, "What? No, I wasn't mad at you." And then they're like, "Why would you think I'm mad at you?" "Oh, well, because I did this, this, and this." And then they're like, "No."
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Then it starts going back and forth. So I love that. I think that that's such a good way of like neutralizing it and wording it in a way of like genuine curiosity. Like, "Hey, how are you feeling today? Like, are you busy today? Like, what's going on?" And just like asking those questions. So, a really good example that I have for you right now, and I love telling this story. So, when my fiance and I started dating, as I've mentioned on previous episodes, we met on the Disney College program. So, we were very privileged enough to go to Disney World all the time. And one of the days we were at Magic Kingdom and we had a really long day. It was like middle of the summer, Florida heat and humidity. Like everyone was feeling really tired. We had a really good day, but like we were getting to that point in the night where like you're a little hungry, you're just like ready to go to bed and, take a shower and go home. And we were in the Emporium and we were looking at t-shirts and we were with a group of friends. And Kyle was starting to get a little quiet, and I was like, oh, shoot, I think he's mad at me because I was so used to partners in the past or maybe family members starting to give me a silent treatment whenever they were mad at me. So I was like, hey, are you mad at me? And he was like, no, I'm good. And then I was used to the other dynamic of they're not going to tell me right away, so I'm going to have to keep asking them over and over and over again until they tell me. And I would do this too, where I'd be like, no, I'm not mad. And again, I'm not gonna lie, I still do this to this day, and it's something that I really need to work on. But I would, keep asking him over and over. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure you're not mad at me? Are you sure you're not mad at me? So then finally, he's like, babe, I promise you, I'm not mad at you. I'm just a little tired. Like it's been a really long day. If I am mad at you, I will tell you. I will let you know. And like I was just like mind blown. I was like, what? Communication? Like what? He's just
Yeah.
gonna straight up tell me if he's angry with me? Like I've never had that before. Usually the way that scenario would play out is again I would ask them over and over and over again, and then they would be like, yes, fine, I am mad at you because you did this earlier and da 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 da. But instead Kyle was like, no, like I will let you know. Like I'm not gonna play games with you. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I will let you know if I'm upset. And I was like, okay, bet. And I've never had to worry about that dynamic ever since. So that's something that I'm really blessed to have now. But obviously, it's something that is pretty prevalent in our culture. Sorry, I'm just yapping away.
Guys, no, we're doing good. You guys, we're trying to develop a system so that Riverside knows not to hush Jenny, but also every time I go, it doesn't. You guys, I don't want to be a freaking bobblehead over here. Like, so we're working on a system, okay? So actually, to go off of that, because I did work with kids, we actually screened them whenever like they came in with us when we were with them. So like, how was your day? Like, what happened? Did you have breakfast? What did you have for lunch? And it wouldn't be like, did you have lunch? It's like, what did you have for lunch? So we know that they ate something. Or like, how did you sleep last night? Or if they were like on any new medication, like, how are you feeling? Like, does it make you feel funny? Or do you feel sleepy? Like using those kinds of terms because medications have side effects. So if
Mm-hmm.
I say, do you feel groggy? Do you feel, it's like, what is that, Miss Val? So it's like, are you feeling sleepy? Like, are you feeling like maybe moody, are you feeling a little bit more sad? Like some medications is like may cause signs of like depression or blah 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 blah. So like asking them questions so that they could open up. So it's not like he was mad at me. It's like client said, like I'm feeling more tired. Like some medications cause loss of appetite. I'm not feeling hungry, Miss Val. And like clients show signs of like, what is it, like being lethargic, like things like that. And having more data driven like conversations versus I feel or I think. And then yeah, ABA made me a lot more like analytical based on like behavior, but also like kind of like you said, like if I'm mad, I will tell you. And it's like great, but it's also like wow, just like being like super brutally honest. But with my husband, like I'm like, there is no guessing. Like if I'm upset, I will tell you I'm upset. And usually I'll get over it very quickly because I will problem solve and I will figure out why I'm upset. But I will be very brutally honest and I'll be like, yes, right now I am upset and this is why. And he's like, and then after like 5 minutes, we'll go into like problem solving mode and what we can do next time so that it doesn't happen again. Because if it happens again, then it's a habit. It's like, well, it's like a pattern. It's like, well, obviously we keep doing this thing, so we haven't fixed it. So if we problem solve, it shouldn't happen again.
Right. How do we
But like I
break that
will, yeah,
pattern?
yes. But in the moment, it's either like, okay, this is just the way Val is. Oh my gosh, it comes with a resting bitch face. like, like yes, I am upset. And like,
It's a good thing you tell him, otherwise he would never know.
yeah, it's terrible. Imagine dating Val and like her happy faces, her sad faces,
Yeah.
like her surprised faces. Like imagine.
Yeah, but you know
So I
what?
have,
It's a good thing you have that sweet voice because again, when I met you and I heard you talk, I was like, "Oh, I'm going to love this girl."
man, oh gosh, you guys. The mental training that goes into this. Jenny worked at the Disney College program and she was coaching me on like things I could do. Before we started this, I was doing facial exercises.
Oh yeah. Yeah, cuz Val was telling me she's like, "I can't help it. Like I'm just trying to give like a neutral face because that's what I was trained to do whenever I was doing ABA." And I was like, well, when I worked at Disney, they were like, you work on the happiest place on earth. Like you can't be walking around. So I was like, these are the little like poses I did with my face when I'm walking around. And
Man,
yeah.
dang. That's funny. That's funny.
Oh,
Okay, which one are we on? Jumping to conclusions. Okay, my next one, you guys. This one's crazy. Catastrophizing. Did I say that right? Catastrophizing.
yes. Oh, I don't know.
Fortune
Yeah,
telling.
catastrophizing. Yeah. Sorry.
Catastrophizing. Fortune telling. The distortion. If I try, it's going to end in a disaster. Oh my gosh. Okay, how did
That's
that
so
happen?
me.
If I try, it's going to end in a disaster. Dang, maybe that's our like Spanish ancestors just being dramatic in the background, like, ay Dios mío. I don't know where this comes from. I can't predict the future. I'll focus on what's in my control and prepare for the best I can. Yeah, okay, I understand it. So I understand the reframe. The distortion, like if I try, I'm gonna fail, or
I
if I
feel
try,
like
it's going to end.
for me, I don't know, maybe I'm misinterpreting it, but for me, the way I hear it is like whenever there's a problem, like the whole world is ending now. Like that's kind of like that's what I'm getting from it. Is like it's so out of my control that like I don't even know what to do anymore. You know what I mean? When it's like a small problem, but it's just like so blown out of proportion. That's kind of like what I'm getting from
Okay, okay. I'm trying to think. Let me ask ChatGPT. Oh my God, you guys.
it.
That's crazy. Live. You guys saw it live. Sometimes I'll do that. I'll check my phone. It's like, what's Val doing? It's like, she's fucking talking to ChatGPT. Catastrophizing. Okay. Imagining the potential negative consequences will be disastrous. Maybe I thought about maybe this one. Like one time I wanted to move out to LA. I don't even know why. And I'm like, what if I fail and then I run out of money and then they like seize my car and then I can't even get back home. That's kind of, is that
Yeah,
catastrophizing,
and I
fortune
think
telling?
that's like super rooted in that one example you gave earlier about the college, where it's like, well, then this is gonna happen, and then this is gonna happen, and then now you're out on the streets.
Dang, dang, all of my bore scenarios are me without a car in the streets. Dang, you guys. You guys, we just learned a lot about my psyche. Dang. Wow. But it's like, what if I take this medication and then it makes me act crazy and then they lock me up in a mental institute all because I was trying to take my medication and now people think I'm crazy. It's like, oh my gosh, girl, like, it's just chill. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. Well, I think the key thing with the reframe here, um, actually, you know what? I have a really good piece of paper Okay, sorry. We're trying to get ourselves back on track because we had a little mishap, but that's okay. So I have a piece of paper here. We're going to take a little detour. We'll come back to
Okay.
our list, but I'm pretty sure I got this from my therapist. I think she sent this as like a worksheet to me. And what I love about this is this also kind of goes into stoicism. So
Okay.
if you have ever heard of Ryan Holiday or any of his work or read The Daily Stoic, which I highly, highly recommend, especially if you are somebody who is prone to anxious thoughts, that is a really good book to have because it's kind of like a devotional where you'll read a little passage every day. Um, so this goes into Socratic questioning, which Socratic is derived from the person Socrates, which was he was a philosopher, tongue twister. So this specific cognitive distortion that we just talked about, where you're kind of spiraling, you're catastrophizing, you're going down a little rabbit hole of like, oh my God, my whole life is going to end because of this one bad thing that's going on in my life. These are some questions that would be good to ask, and I'll see. I don't know if I can. I'm sure I can find this online. If I can, I will either link it and put it in our show notes and our YouTube like bio or whatever the description box.
Hmm.
If I cannot find it, I will see if I can scan this and upload it that way as well and put a little link there too. So, again, if you're in the middle of this spiral, I would ask myself these questions. So, is there substantial evidence for my thought? Is there evidence contrary to my thought? Am I attempting to interpret this situation without all the evidence? Am I looking at all the evidence or just what supports my thought? Could I be misleading the evidence? Am I making any assumptions? Am I basing this thought on facts or feelings? And it's a lot of questions on here, okay? So you get the point. Again, I will put this on our description box so you guys have the full paper and you can refer to this anytime you are going down a rabbit hole. I really like having this paper to refer to because sometimes I can get caught up in those feelings, and then whenever I genuinely ask myself those questions and like really consider, I'm like, oh, actually there is no evidence, like there's no facts, like this is just all assumptions based off of how I'm feeling right now, and that really helps me to kind of move forward. So yeah.
Heck yeah, that was really good. That's gonna help you guys out a lot. That list itself actually helps me out a lot, so I'm hoping it'll help a lot of you guys out. Next, mind reading, girl. I love this one. Well, because we're psychologists, I'm like, I'll read
Mm-hmm.
your mind. Just kidding, you guys. I won't. I can't. Distortion. They think I'm stupid. How rude. Reframe. I don't know what they're thinking. If I'm unsure, I can ask them. Or not assume. Imagine, be like, do you think I'm stupid? Oh my gosh, my mom My mom would say that with a straight face. She's like, "You're lying to me. Do you think I'm stupid?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah, well, I think this also kind of goes hand in hand with jumping to conclusions. And, I think as Hispanics and Latinos, we have this communication style. I've heard it referred to as low context communication or something along those lines. And basically, the way that I interpret it is there's two things here. So the first thing could be the language barrier. So say you're somebody who was raised speaking English and maybe your parent, their first language is Spanish. Sometimes it's hard for them to figure out the best way to describe their feelings to you, and so you have to use a lot of context clues, or you have to use other things to rely on so that you can get more context because they're giving you such low context that you have to use that as a survival mechanism. And then the second thing is just not knowing how to describe your emotions to begin with because they just were not educated on that, or feelings weren't necessarily valued in their culture as they were growing up. And so when you're growing up with a parent like that, sometimes you can look at these different context clues, but then it ends up working against you in the long run because now you're reading into things too much. And now you're doing that mind reading of like, oh, well, they keep doing this over and over and over again, so that means they just don't care about me anymore. And it's like, well, no, that doesn't necessarily mean that. It's just that they don't know how to even love themselves. So how are they going to be able to love you the best way that you need whenever they can't even give that to themselves? You know what I mean? I feel like I'm giving a bunch of like word salad right now, but that's kind of the best example I can think of with that.
No, that was really sweet. Dang, Jen, you had a different approach to this. This is why I love being friends with Jenny, is because I'm just like, dang, she took a completely different approach. That was really sweet. Yeah, so one of the distortions that I thought of was, for example, like maybe you start at a new place and they don't know you and they don't talk to you, like you're the new girl, and be like, oh, they don't like me, being like, they just don't know me, like they just don't have enough context clues, enough data on like what does she like or what does she think she's well, like what's funny to her. So it's like how are they gonna invite me if they're like we don't really know her, like it's just like they just don't know me yet. So kind
Mm-hmm.
of reframing, using that reframe. But on the mind reading, because I thought of my mom, you guys, oh my gosh, I love my mom. Imagine she gets the iPods that translate in real time, she watches this.
Jaw
But one of the
dropped.
things that, yeah, she used to say, very dramatic in Spanish, me ves la cara. Have you ever heard that?
No.
It's like me estás viendo la cara. And it translates in direct English, it translates to like you see my face or you're seeing my face. And I'm like, no shit. Like I'm like, yes. I'm like, yes, I see you. Like so there was like a cultural disconnect. But in Spanish, the way that reads, you guys, me ves la cara translates for like it can also be an idiomatic meaning of you're making a fool of me or you're trying to fool me. So that's like what it means in English, like you're trying to fool me or you're trying to see past me or you think I don't notice this. So that's like what it means in English, but the direct translation is just like you see my face. And so she would be so upset. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just kind of confused. So, like, is she saying, like, say, for example, you're asking, like, are you mad at me? And then she's saying, like, well, you see my face, don't you? Is, like, that how she's meaning it?
Kinda. So imagine out of me, or like you think I'm stupid, kind of like you think I'm dumb. But the literal like translation, and I don't know why we're going into this, is it's like mind reading. She's like, she thinks that I don't see what she's doing. It's kind of like that thing. But she like the cultural thing, it's like we just couldn't communicate because we were
Right.
communicating. I'm thinking English, like I'm using my English brain, but she's communicating in Spanish, and so she's like,
I feel like the equivalent is, like, you're trying to pull the wool over my eyes. Yeah.
yes, yes. Jenny's so good at this. You guys see what? This is so
Yeah.
good.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So then I'm like, I don't know what you mean, but I told you I didn't do this.
Right.
Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I don't know. I don't know anymore. But
Plead the fifth.
that's, yeah, but that's what she would say. And she would just say this thing, and I'm like, I just don't know what you
Yeah.
mean. So then I would have to like go
You're like,
consult.
Google, what does that mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's what's hard too about the two different languages because there are different sayings that like just don't even directly translate. Like I'll be watching novelas and because I'm a no sabo and I'm still learning, sometimes I'll have to have subtitles on. Sometimes I don't. It just depends on the novela. But like they'll say a certain saying and then the translation will be something super different. I'm like, that's not what they said. But it's because if the direct translation actually was put there, it just wouldn't make sense. Or like jokes even. Like there's certain jokes that don't make sense in English. Like I remember my grandpa would always tell me jokes growing up and like I would understand what he was saying in Spanish, but then he would get to the punchline and I felt so bad, but like I just didn't get it. And then I would ask my mom and she's like, it's just because of the joke. Like it's not, like it is funny. It's just that like you don't understand it because of the translation. And I was like, oh, man, I feel bad. I want to be part of the fun.
Okay, you guys. Should statements. The distortion. I should be further in life by now. I feel this one, you guys. I feel that. The reframe is I'm on my own timeline. I honor where I am and I'm still working towards what I want. I think that's really graceful. I actually really like that.
Yeah. Freaking yeah. Yeah, and then what's that saying? Don't should all over yourself. Like you should never should all over yourself. I love that because it
Okay, I
sounds
heard
like
that completely different.
I know that's that's the point.
Okay, I was like,
It
wait, did
should
she
sound
just
like that, but
uh-huh.
but yeah, I mean it's true. Like coulda, shoulda, woulda. Like we all make mistakes in life, and I think just reminding yourself like we're doing our best. The other thing too is like our generation. I mean, there's probably a bunch of different generations listening to this right now, but if you are in our generation, Val and I are like in between millennial and Gen Z. We unfortunately had our cards dealt to us where COVID happened during a very transformative year, or I guess like couple of
Yeah,
years.
because we just graduated college, so we were like in the next steps for getting
Yeah.
our dream career and like being a go-getter, and then life was like, nah, you're gonna stay home.
Yeah. Well, and then I feel bad too for other generations because then there were people who missed out on their proms, there were people who were in the middle of college, and all of the generations are going to have their own set of difficulties because of that time period. But just reminding ourselves like because of the fact that we all had to deal with this, it's going to set us back a little bit, and there's nothing we can do about it except keep moving forward and take the experiences that we
Yeah,
did have from that time period and just give ourselves
yeah,
grace because like being a human being is freaking hard, man. Like just
yeah.
live your life, and these things are important, but you only get a limited amount of time here, and so kind of just putting it into that perspective.
Yeah, I think too, every generation goes through something, whether it's like the Great Depression or World War One or World War Two. Like it's like, well, like imagine someone's like, man, I just want to go to college, but man, I got drafted. It's like, oh, dang, bro, dang.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, these were the cards that we were dealt, and yes, it set us, behind maybe a year or two or three, but so be it. Like it's okay. I think also sometimes we are supposed to side quests because then we figured out that actually we didn't want to do this thing, we wanted to do this other thing. So I feel like there's just beauty in the journey of like becoming, and it's like, all right, I'm not where I'm at yet, but I'm here right now. I can only control this. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
the other thing too is like I was telling Val this the other day because right now I am currently working to get myself up and running as a new real estate agent, and I do have to have a part-time job right now so that I can pay the bills. So I also serve on the side. And there was a day last week where I had some last minute changes to some showings that I was doing. And I was literally sitting down in a booth at the end of my shift, writing down all these notes on my server pad. And I took a picture of it and I sent it to Val. And I was like, you know what? If anything, this is for the freaking plot. Because if I were to get to that success and not have all this resistance, I know I wouldn't value it as much. So one day I'm going to look back on this and I'm going to be like, you know what? I freaking did that. So if anything, just do it for the plot. Like, just accept it and move forward. Let it roll off your back as much as you can. Process your emotions as needed. Like, it's okay to feel frustrated. And I've had so many breakdowns, like, in my life where I'm like, I just want to be at that point already, but it's not happening yet. And that's okay. Like, I just have to accept what is in my control and move forward. So,
Yeah.
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 So the next one is labeling, or otherwise known as global judgments. Okay, so the distortion example here for labeling is I made a mistake. I'm such an idiot. And I will say, this is something that I think a lot of people need to work on. It's something I'm still working on, but I will say I don't think I am that bad to the point where I call myself names anymore. But I feel like a lot of people, they are just so mean to themselves. And something I like to say to my friends, I'll do it as like a joke and I'll be like, I don't like it when people talk shit about my friends. And really, I'm saying it like to somebody who's talking shit about themselves, and they're like, oh, I'm so dumb, or like I'm such an idiot, or like if they're not wearing makeup, they're like, oh my god, I look so ugly today. And it's like, why? Why are you saying that? Why are you calling yourself those things? Don't ever talk badly about yourself because your mind is going to pick up on that messaging and it's going to start believing what it's actually saying. So I don't know if you want to speak to that, Val, because I know that's a topic you're very passionate about.
Yeah, I love self-talk. And the reason why is because I worked with kids, you guys. So kids are always kind of like at the center of my heart. Like I have this thing, it's like no matter what happens, like just like leave kids alone. It's like go pick on someone your own size. Like yeah, I just have a heart like a soft spot for kids. But whenever I would hear kids like, "Oh, I'm just so dumb, Miss Val," or like, "Oh, I'm such an idiot." I'm like, why are you being so hard on yourself? Like, you just didn't know. And it's like, you don't know what you don't know. Like, if you really don't have the information or the tools or you just didn't know, it's like, well, what were you going to do? Like, you just didn't know. And if you knew, like, for example, like, for like Excel sheets, like you're just logging data. This is the only example that I can think of where you're just like not taking your time and you make really silly little mistakes, then it's like that's just like you got to go back and take your time. Like if you are smart enough, then literally go back and take your time. But it's like figuring out, it's like I like to troubleshoot a lot and figure out like what's the root. So if I'm working with a kiddo or a person or myself, it's like what's the root? Did you have the information? Could you have made better choices? No, I didn't have the information. It's like, well, then you did your best. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. You effed up or you didn't get it right, but that's all you knew. Like, that's all the data you had. If you had the data and you still made a mistake, then it's on you and it's like then you just got to slow down. So usually like I like to troubleshoot. It's like was it in my control or out of my control? And then figuring it out and then like how do I move from there? So yeah, I think I try to be really proactive and just troubleshoot and figure out like where do I go from here? And also like not feel sorry for myself or like feel my feelings like, dang, that sucks. I just got to do better next time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. And I think that's kind of what it all comes down to, right? Is all of these cognitive distortions, they tend to go to many extremes. And so reminding yourself to have a more of a neutral approach and be like, okay, yes, I made the mistake. But that doesn't mean that I made the mistake and I'm a horrible person and I'm an idiot and this, and that. That also doesn't mean like, oh my God, I'm perfect and I never make mistakes. I didn't make a mistake. What are you talking about? Like being in denial. It's just like acknowledging it, taking accountability and being like, okay, well, what can I do with that moving forward?
Okay, number 10. Personalization. I didn't know this was a thing, you guys. But an example of personalization, I think maybe it's like taking things personal or let's read about it. So it says the example is a student gives a class presentation and afterwards the teacher seems upset and leaves the room quickly. The student thinks she must have hated my presentation. I ruined her day. Or the distortion that Jenny gave. Maybe this is a better one. It's my fault that they're upset. Their emotions are their own, and I can take responsibility for my part, but not everything. I think both kind of like go hand in hand. But I remember, oh, man, I'm talking about my childhood again. If my mom was upset, and I'm the oldest, you guys, so a lot of responsibility was kind of like handed on to me. But if my mom was upset, I felt like I must have done something, like I must have done something to upset her,
Mm-hmm.
or I didn't do something, like I didn't pick up, I didn't clean, I didn't fill in the blank. It's like I either did. So then you're just like, it's like you're figuring it out and you're trying to regulate as a kid. But then the older you get, it's like it's not my fault if she's upset. If she's upset, she can say, "Hey, you didn't clean your room. Clean it up." Or like, "Hey, fill in the blank." But it's not my job to monitor other people's emotions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll open up a little bit about my childhood too. So my parents are divorced and I have done a lot of healing on that. I am an adult now, and obviously I know that I am not the reason for their divorce. They had their own reasons. But I do remember growing up thinking that it was possible that I could have been the cause. And I do remember growing up thinking that my dad didn't love me. And a lot of the actions that he committed growing up, that was my reasoning. It's like, oh, well, it's because he doesn't love me. It's because I'm unlovable. And now that I'm older, I've been able to really dissect everything and again be like, well, he didn't have certain communication styles that he could have implemented to show me how he loved me better. And it's not about me. It's about all of the things that he's gone through in his life and the fact that he hasn't realized that he needed to love me in a certain way. And so just reminding yourself not to take things personal. I don't know if have you ever read the Four Agreements?
I don't know.
You
I've heard
probably
about
have.
it, but I don't think I have.
You probably
Maybe,
have. It's a
maybe.
really popular book. Again, we'll link that in the description. It's one of my favorite books, and one of the four agreements is to not take things personally. And again, it's just reminding yourself like every single person in this world is going through their own set of struggles. And the way that they go about the world is a direct reflection of that. And so if somebody gets upset at you about something, 9 times out of 10, it's because they have a wound in their personal life and it's like opening up that wound again. And so just reminding yourself like it's not always about you. It's about
Yeah.
the other experiences that they went through beforehand.
I think also for that example with my mom or with your dad, like becoming the adult or be like stepping into that role was like I can only control so much. And if they have a problem with you, like that's their problem. And if they want to address that problem, like that's their responsibility. Like if I have something to tell Jenny, I just can't let her guess and be like, I wonder what she's gonna ask me. I wonder what she's gonna be like, what's wrong, Val? I wonder what she's gonna be like. It's like, hey Jen, like on Tuesday, I really felt like I needed more help and fill in the blank. And then like I'm being the adult and I'm addressing it and letting her know so it doesn't happen again versus just letting her wait. And because what if Jenny never like it just goes over her head, or Jenny has real estate and work and bills and family, like it could Jenny could never figure it out. Just kidding. I'm sorry, Jenny. It's because she's with me right now. She's the only person that I can think of. So I might never get that. I don't want to say like that apology or that thing because she's just not thinking about that. So am I gonna sit here bitter forever? So it's like same thing. So with my mom, I can't just be the one that's always like, what's wrong? Are you okay? Did I do something? It's like, if there's something wrong, look, mom, you're old enough, you have words. If you have something, just tell me and we'll work on it. But if you,
Well, it's assuming responsibility for what you have control of. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
just like
yeah.
you, if you're assuming your responsibility and saying, okay, well, I did my part in the communication, that other person in that conflict has their own part. It takes two to tango, right?
It takes two to tango.
So
Yeah.
if they're not willing to give that communication, well, then that's not on you because you did everything that's in your power to try and make that situation better.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh. I guess before we wrap it up, one way that I do try to like close like my communication is always like leaving it open like, hey, I love you. If I said something, especially like if I'm in a meeting or a professional setting, or if I said something that might have been like a very heavy conversation and said like, hey, I just want to let you know I really enjoy working with you.
Value
The
your
criticism
input.
yeah, I value your input. The criticism that I gave is on, your work only. I think you're a talented individual. You have amazing ideas. I love working with you. I just think some things could be optimized, but you're doing amazing. So like, and if they're like, well, what could be optimized? Well, it's up here. Like, this is what could be optimized. Like, we
Yeah,
went over it. But it's not about the person. It's about fixing like the problem
right,
and like leaving it like, I value you. You're important to me. This is what I agree with. This is what I don't.
right. And
Yeah.
detaching the behavior from the person itself so that they're not as likely to personalize it.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
love that. Love that. We're almost done here, folks. I know we're getting real deep over here. We got like three more. So the next cognitive distortion is emotional reasoning. The distortion here is I feel worthless, so I must be worthless. Honestly, to this one, I would just refer back to this piece of paper and reminding ourselves like, okay, just because we feel it doesn't mean it's actually true. I'll give you one more question from here because I think there's a really good one on here that I've used before.
I have an example for this one
Yeah.
for the emotional reasoning. So, oh my gosh, you guys, I feel like I'm gonna make a confession. Jesus, that's okay. So, I used to hoard a lot of like my work from school because this is how I got like validation that I was smart. So, I think sometimes my mom would try to like help me by saying negative things. It's like, well, then maybe you're just not smart enough. So then I would have to prove that I was smart enough and be like, aha, I am smart enough. So it was like, I don't know if that makes sense, but that feeling of like, I got an F, I must be dumb. Of like feeling like I had to prove that I was actually intelligent. So anytime that I got a good grade or like something like, wow, that was a brilliant comment, like, or something on a paper that was evidence and stacks of paper to prove you have a degree. It's like, dude, like that's not enough evidence for you. Does that make sense? But it's like, Val, you have done lots of work and you are a very bright individual and you are very intelligent,
Hmm.
but you don't need all of these stacks and papers moving with you through life to validate that you are smart.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I love that. I absolutely love that. I did find the little section of the questions that I was going to refer to here. And again, it's just reality testing. So that's one of the sections on this piece of paper. And I think that's a really good way to combat those emotional thoughts whenever you are in that point where you're like, oh, well, I feel it this way, so it must be true. And it's like, okay, some of these questions that you can use to kind of combat this are there any other ways I can look at this situation? So going back to your example, you reframed it by saying, okay, I have this one really important piece of paper that is framed, and be like, okay, this is the symbolism for all that hard work that I put in. Another question, if I look at this situation positively, how would my thought be different? What would I say to a friend or family member having this thought? I love that one, because that one really helps me to reframe and be like, okay, well, yeah, I would give them so much more grace than I'm giving myself right now. And then the last one here is, what would a friend or family member think about this situation or thought? Maybe be choosy about the family member, because there might be some family members that are very critical. So think about a family member or a friend who is giving you a lot of grace, and give that example of like, okay, well, yeah, my best friend would tell me this, and she would cheer me on, and she would remind me how intelligent I am. And so just, reframing it.
Control fallacies. All right. Distortion, internal control. Everything is my fault. Dang, that's assuming a lot. That's like you took all accountability. It's like, it's all my fault. It's like, dang, dude, no one else? Just kidding. The reframe, I'm responsible for my choices, not everything that happens. Not for everything that happens.
Mm-hmm. And then it looks like there's
Maybe that's
another
like,
example there too. Like,
yeah, there's nothing I can do. It's all out of my hands. Oh, so this was the external. This is taking no accountability. Dang, you guys, there's two extremes. You take out all of it or you take nothing. Dang. There's nothing I can do. It's all out of my hands. Dang. Reframe. I may not control everything, but I can choose how I respond. Dang. Those are two crazy extremes.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I've definitely fallen into the trap of both of those. I think when I was like 18, 19, I had victim mentality for sure. Where I just think like the whole world is out to get me, and I just think that like nothing's working out for me. And then I'll have the opposite sometimes of, I'm not doing anything right. I'm the one who's in the wrong. Again, going back to that core belief that I've mentioned, I can't remember if it was episode 2 or episode 1 of that core belief. No matter how hard I try, it's never enough. And it's like, it doesn't have to be that crazy. It doesn't have to be that deep. And just reminding yourself, like, again, I think this is all kind of coming back to the same message. We're just all human. And like giving ourselves grace and letting ourselves make those mistakes. And you don't have to take it to such an extreme level where you're like letting it completely take over your mental, you know?
That's a good one. I actually really enjoyed this one because I don't know if I do this one. I don't know. I think I don't struggle with this one a lot, but I'm just like, dang, that's crazy. Comparisons, this one though. I know this one because I grew up in such a big family. It was hard to compare like across males because it's like I was in a different category. I was like being compared with the females, but still comparison. Like, what's that quote? Comparison is the killer of joy. Yeah, so distortion. All right. They're doing so much better than me. I'll never measure up. The reframe, their journey is theirs, mine is mine. I can be inspired without devaluing myself. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, and kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier, just reminding ourselves like the time frame that we're living in and how COVID has affected us and the time periods that we were in our life at the time that it happened. But the other thing too is like remind yourself how individual you are. I think a really good example is like music, okay? Do you listen to just one artist ever and that's it? No. You listen to Mariah Carey and you listen to Demi Lovato and you listen to Selena Gomez and you listen to Beyonce and this and that and da-da-da-da. And it's because you love variety. You love the vibe that each individual brings in their own set of music. So let that be the motivational factor in your own life and be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm not that person. I don't have this or I don't have this and I'm not successful here like they are, but I'm my own individual. Or another good example is all your group of friends. Do you just have one friend? No. Val and I have other best friends that are not just us or just even not just best friends, but friends in general. And it's because we love the vibe that all of our friends bring to us. So don't get stuck comparing yourself, because it's just useless. You are your own person. God made you individually and uniquely, and be proud of who you are. Celebrate that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think also I tell Jenny this all the time. The way I see my friends as flowers. And I remember like my dad, actually it was like my dad that gave me this example. And he looked at a daisy and he's like, "Is that a beautiful flower?" I'm like, "Yeah, daisies are beautiful. Like they're so pretty." And then he was like, "What about a rose?" I'm like, "Yeah, like rose is pretty. Like they're not like my favorite flower, but they're pretty." And then he's like, "What about a lily?" I'm like, "I love lilies." And he's like, "Yeah, but they're all beautiful, right?" And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, that's how your friends are. And actually, this was about my cousins. He's like, yeah, you and your cousins are like that. You guys are different flowers, and all of you guys are beautiful, but like it's the difference that makes you guys beautiful. You don't
Right.
have to try to be a rose. You don't have to try to be a lily. You can be a peony, or you can be like a tulip, or you can be, but you don't have to be that to be beautiful.
Yeah.
And so that was one way, and it was because my cousin had colored eyes and blonde hair, and I was like, how come I don't have colored eyes and blonde hair? And he's like, because you don't, and that's okay, and you're still beautiful. And then the other one was like knowing that we're all different, and he's like, you might not be, built like a swimmer, or you might not be built to be a basketball player, but maybe you have a beautiful voice, or maybe you have an amazing brain. And it's like, work with your strengths. Like, what are your talents, not against them? And he's like, all of us were born with talents. Like, your job is to find them and make the most out of them.
I love
That kind of helped
that.
me. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that kind of helped me not, it's like, there's this other quote, and I'm saying so many metaphors and so many quotes because hopefully this will resonate with someone. But it's like, there's no traffic in my lane because I'm in my own journey. It's like, I'm not trying to like follow what everybody else is doing. I'm doing what Val wants to do. Like, I'm in my own lane, team. Like, no traffic here. I'm not competing against anyone. I'm just trying to be better than Val, and that's it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. It's like reminding me of Mulan, where the dad has the conversation with his daughter. Yeah, just reminding yourself like you're on your own timeline. Everybody gets to different areas of their life at different times. There are plenty of people in my life that are super successful in their careers and they got everything going for them seemingly, but maybe they really want love. Maybe they want the partner that they are going to be married with. And they don't have that yet. And maybe they're looking at me for that example. Like everybody has their own timeline. Yeah, I think you said that beautifully.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. I think
Right.
Jenny's the more eloquent. Like Jenny gives a really beautiful. I don't want to say like she's the more eloquent and I'm the more funny, but sometimes I'm like, dang, I wish I could say really deep stuff. And then I'm like, once in a while I will, and I'm like, oh, I said something
Well,
pretty.
girl, take your own advice because don't compare, right? Don't compare.
Yes, don't
There we
compare.
go.
Yes, yes.
I love that. Okay. This is our last one, friends. I know we've come a long way. It's very deep. We're going to have a palate cleanser episode after this because this was a lot. Our last cognitive distortion is the fallacy of fairness. So, an example of this distortion would be life should be fair. This isn't fair. It's so awful. And I've said this so many times. I feel it. I feel it so much. But it's true. Life isn't fair. And I think the best advice that I can give for this one is just again putting it into perspective and reminding ourselves that life is short. Yeah, like stuff happens, but there's also good things happening in your life. There's maybe areas of your life that you have a lot of privilege and you just don't think about, and you don't, it's just not something that you think about every single day. I think another weird direction we could kind of go in with this one, especially kind of relating to being Hispanic or Latino, is the privileges that we have because of the country that we live in. While Mexico is getting better, and it's a lot safer right now than it was back in the day. I remember growing
Mhm.
up hearing some crazy stories, and even to this day, I hear some crazy stories about what's going on with the cartels and, the safety and the living conditions and the things that people have to go through living over there. And then not just like Mexico, but comparing it to other countries too. There are countries where women They could get dragged through the streets just for painting their nails, or women have to be forced into arranged marriages. And so, thinking about those simple pleasures and being like, you know what, life isn't fair. I've had a lot of things that I have had to deal with that aren't fair and that I am upset about. But if I dwell on that, that is just going to put me in a really negative headspace. And so, being thankful for the clean water I have, for the clean running water that I have and how easy it is to access it. Being thankful for the roof over my head, being thankful for the food in my belly and the breath in my lungs, and just like getting down to those simple pleasures of life, because we are really lucky to be here on this planet. And I think it's important to recognize those simple pleasures of life.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the one thing that I don't want to say like cured, but the one thing that kind of like made the fairness fallacy kind of go away for me was when my brother got sick. When my brother, he's better now. My brother, when he got cancer, I was just like, wow, like I was in a place where I was kind of very deeply depressed and not excited about life. And then I watched my brother get sick, and my brother was a go-getter and doing so many things for himself that I was like, oh my gosh, like, why did that happen to him? Like, he actually
So
was doing
young,
a
he's so
lot of
healthy.
so young. Yeah, and it's like, why him? Like, if anyone, I don't want to say like it should have been me, but I was like, oh my gosh. And I saw him overcome that and not make any excuses for himself and just be like, you know what? Like, I'm just glad for this day. Like, I just get to try again. Like, literally, I just saw him say, like, it's okay. I get to try again. Or, like, I got one more day. I get to fight this battle. I get to do this again. And it was like, you know what? Life's not fair, but like, it's like what you do with it. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, it's what you do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like also reminding ourselves how rare it is just to be existing. Like I can't remember what the odds are, but I think it's like 13 trillion or something to be on this earth as a human being. Those are like really, really low odds that you had the chance to even exist here on this planet. And yeah, this life can be freaking painful. It could be really, really hard. But there are also good days. And knowing that there are good days ahead, you don't know when it's going to happen, but the greatest day of your life is yet to come. And just reminding yourself that you have that opportunity to be here is wonderful. Yeah. I think that was a great way to end this. So I will say, I do want to kind of recap a little bit because we just kind of went through a huge list of a bunch of different cognitive distortions. So what does this all mean? Again, we're going back to the root of cognitive behavioral therapy, which is CBT for short. So what you're supposed to do with this list is whenever you are feeling one of these things or you're noticing one of these messages pop into your head, you want to catch that thought and go through a reframe. And you can ask yourself a series of these Socratic questions that I gave earlier. Or you could look up like CBD questionnaire. Or I know there's a bunch of apps that you can also find that help you to kind of journal through this if you want. And as you ask yourself these questions, you're basically putting into perspective of what is actually going on in real life versus what your brain is thinking or what your feelings are feeling. And that helps you to rewire the message so that as time goes on, these cognitive distortions will start to disappear on their own. And at first, it takes a lot of hard work. You manually basically have to do this and get to a point where you're like, oh my God, like having this thought again. Okay, let's journal about it. Okay, is this real? Is this based on evidence? What would I say to my friend? How can I reframe this? Is there a positive way I can look at this? But then when you have that thought later on down the road, say a few years from now, after doing all this hard mental work, it starts to become a little more natural. And you're like, oh, yeah, I remember this thought has happened to me before. And last time it happened, I remember thinking that it actually wasn't that factual because of X, Y, and Z. And then eventually you don't even have to do that at all. You just have the new, healthier thought that pops up in your head from that point on. So that's why I love cognitive behavioral therapy. There are other methods of therapy out there if this isn't for you, but we just wanted to start this conversation and kind of go through this list and also bring it into perspective of common ways that it could appear in the Hispanic and Latino culture, because unfortunately mental health is not prioritized in our culture, and so we want to change that and make that more of a priority moving forward.
Yeah, and even though we are very educated individuals, rightfully so, we just want to give you guys tools. And that's the whole thing. We're not out here trying to like diagnose or give therapy to anyone, but the more tools you have in your toolbox, the more you can help yourself. And so that's the thing. It's like this is a little bit of control. This is a little bit of tools. This is a little bit of like how can I help myself? So we just want to help. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think this is going to conclude our episode. Before we go, Val, where can our friends find us? We got some new.
Yes. So actually, if you guys go to the YouTube channel now, there's links that are attached. So it'll be in the show notes, but also you can click through the links so you'll see our Instagram, mine and Jenny's. And then if you are interested in Deep Naked Thoughts, you can also find me there. I try to have guests come on consistently and have content up for you guys. But I do have our links listed now. So you guys should take a look at the channel just because both of us have been working super hard on it.
Yes. And if you want to follow us individually, my Instagram is at the.jeni.b, and that is Jenny spelled Jeni. Where can they find you?
I'm at Mayday 14 on Instagram.
And also, you guys should go follow Deep Naked Thoughts at Deep Naked Thoughts.
Naked
Just
Thoughts.
all.
Yeah, we get deep
Yep.
over there.
We get naked. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
kidding.
like that's it. Yeah.
Mom, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I swear.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I do want to end this. I don't know, Val, if you remember this. I mentioned this on one of our last Snapchat sessions. We had a fun principal back in 2010 at Oñate High School. Shout out Oñate High School, class of 2020. No,
Yeah.
2024. What am I saying? Class of 2014.
2014. Yeah.
He was only principal for what, like 1 year? And then I think they switched. 2? Yeah. Mr. Phelps, shout out to Mr. Phelps. The morning announcements, he would end every single day with this quote, and I loved it so much because it was like so dramatic, but it's like so true. So I feel like we should start ending the podcast with this one. And the quote is,
Yes.
You can make it a great day or not. The choice is yours.
The choice is yours. Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, we'll
Whoa.
leave you with that.
Imagine hearing
Have you had
those
a bad
morning
day?
announcements. You're like, oh my God, is the world gonna end?
Have you had a bad day? It's because the choice was yours.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah.
I hope you're doing well, Mr. Phelps.
Yeah.
All right, friends.
All right,
We're gonna
guys.
end it. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.